Hello, this is an open letter to Barack Obama and his campaign committee, and I want to congratulate you for bringing hope and inspiration into a very, very tired and weary American psyche. Thank you so much. It's been a long time since we have felt this breath of fresh air, the feeling that perhaps we Americans are on the verge of what could be a new American revolution, and oh, how we need it. People like Thomas Jefferson said, if there comes a time when the American people feel oppressed by government, that they need to have many, many small new American revolutions. So in your debate, everybody enjoyed your answer, Baraka, to Hillary about the Get Real uh, uh, challenge, and how you said that, do you mean that my supporters are delusional? And of course, we're not delusional. We are hopeful. We are filled with inspiration, and we are filled with ideas. And I would like to share some of those ideas with you right now. I am a teacher, have been a teacher for over 35 years in the San Francisco school system. I just retired early to complete my book, which is called Uncle Tom's Classroom: How One Public School Teacher Awakened His Students to the Cosmic Super Self Within, which is on xlibris.com, Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles. I retired early because I felt a calling to do something within the school system that I know you are hoping to do in America at large. And so I thought I would share some of my ideas and my discoveries and my achievements on that microcosm, so you can perhaps begin to apply those ideas to the macrocosm. I had an experience like Neo in the Matrix. I started teaching in the Peace Corps in the late 60s, went to the Teacher Corps, ghetto schools, moved into kindergarten, worked my way all the way up, taught every grade, kindergarten through 8th grade, and I saw, as Neo did in the Matrix, I saw something happen. And I encapsulated in a line in my book: how can you teach democratic principles in a dictatorial school system? Let me repeat that another way. How can we teach our children to think freely, to be critical thinkers, to be creative thinkers, to be hopeful thinkers in a dictatorial system that does everything in its power from the time they enter the hallowed halls of education, in kindergarten, sometimes in even childcare, to repress their natural inner guidance system and keeps them from following their own bliss. As Joseph Campbell said, that's what I used in my classroom. So when I woke up in teaching middle school in San Francisco, when I woke up and realized that the school system was a dictatorship, and I connected the dots between the election of Bush and all the other really not smart leaders, to the fact that perhaps it was because people really weren't thinking clearly. Oh, maybe it's because they haven't been taught. Maybe we haven't been taught to think freely. We've been bombarded with television ever since the 1950s, and we have been bombarded through the school system with the agenda of the military-industrial complex. I had the great privilege of meeting Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King in the early 60s. And Martin Luther King said, you can't abolish the darkness unless you bring in the light. And so let's get real, and let's really bring in the light into some of these areas of failure in our American culture. Take responsibility for them. Begin to wake up and really understand what's going on. I taught social studies all through the school system, and it's all about America, the great empire. Students are never taught that America and European countries manipulated governments around the world all through the 50s and 60s and 70s. In fact, throughout the entire American history. They're given a one-sided picture that shows America as being the great new Roman Empire, and it takes no responsibility for what I began to call the dark side of capitalism. Eisenhower himself, as you recall, warned us against the military-industrial complex taking over the American dream. The military-industrial complex is a sacred cow that we need to do some sacred cow poking at now, and we need to put blame where blame belongs. It's not with us, the people. We've been put to sleep by the complex. It is time now for us to wake up, and that's where you come in, Baraka. You can wake us up because you have something, a gift that God has given you that a lot of people in politics have lost, and that's you have the trust and the hopes now of the American people. I would like to congratulate you again for the audacity to even run for president. It's an amazing accomplishment, but you're on the verge now of what I hope will be a new American revolution. And so here are my ideas, what I did in my classroom. Once I realized that it was a dictatorship, and once I realized that we teachers were using fear to control our overcrowded classrooms, which were underfunded and supplied with books that were totally, almost always, slanted in the direction of supporting the agenda of the military-industrial complex, which funds basically what we're doing and controls us. Once I realized that we teachers and administrators were being treated as Uncle Toms, we had no freedom. We weren't allowed to have freedom of speech or discourse or debate or conversation in the classroom. And so what I did was I put up a sign, free speech allowed. And this is what I did. I'll talk a little bit about the curriculum, how I changed things. You could do this nationally and without spending a cent, basically. And I would help you. If you want me to help in your education department, I would be more than happy, because these are techniques that worked. I would begin each day with a quote by a great American or a great philosopher, which would be the quote of the day. Let me read a quote by Daniel Webster. "By the blessing of God, may our country become a vast and splendid monument, not of oppression and terror, but of wisdom, of peace, and of liberty, upon which the world may gaze with admiration forever." I would put up quotes like this by Abraham Lincoln. "What constitutes the bulwark of our liberty and independence? Our reliance is in the love of liberty which God has planted in us." And of course, FDR's famous quote, "We have nothing to fear but fear ourselves." I would start each day for all of my classes with a quote like this, and I would ask the children to ponder the quote all day and write follow-ups, original thoughts, I would call them. Come up with original thoughts and come up to the podium at any time they wanted to during the day and give their interpretation. We did what I called mind melding, like Dr. Spock. For literature, I allowed my children to bring whatever books they wanted to read, and they could also then come up to the podium and they could report on the books. And so basically we were reading 39 books at once, because all the children loved the idea that we were free now to all teach and learn together. That was one of my basic concepts, that we were teachers and learners, and that education in its classical sense of bringing out the best, bringing out the genius within us, was what we were going to be all about. And then we really took a critical look at the social studies, the books in social studies, and we began to bring in other histories from other cultures. We had Jewish kids and Palestinian kids and Indian kids and Indonesian kids and South American kids, and they brought in all kinds of materials, and we really debated openly and courteously what was really going on. And we realized that the American worldview really needed to be broadened. We realized that we had become mental Uncle Toms, and it was time that we become free thinkers. And then we realized that we were more actual than just human automaton, consumeristic, capitalistic worker bee clones, and we decided to call ourselves cosmic super selves. Cosmic citizens made, as Carl Sagan said, of stardust itself, with a galactic and universal purpose which goes far beyond the old dark capitalistic paradigm. I will continue this later, and good luck, Baraka.